The Atlantic City Surf were an independent professional baseball team that played at what is now known as Surf Stadium, but was originally called the Sandcastle from 1998 through 2005, and then Bernie Robbins Stadium from 2006 through 2008. Then after the 2008 season, the stadium's only professional tenant ceased operations and became Surf Stadium in 2012 after the team had already folded. I suppose that time in between, the stadium was just vacant and without a name except for a little bit in 2011 where it was just VIP seating for concerts held at the adjacent Bader Field, which was an airport until 2006 and now just hosts events like that. And also when I visited in 2022, they had some sort of police training going on using the runway as well. The Surf spent most of their existence in the Atlantic League from the inception in 1998 until 2006. They were an original member of the Atlantic League and would also host the 1998 Atlantic League All-Star Game in a format where the home team was just the host club and the road team was made up of all-stars from all the other teams. Logic might tell you that a team of the best players from every team combined should beat a team that's just fielding their normal players, but the Surf did end up winning that game 6-4. The first ever Atlantic League Championship Series would feature the Surf taking on the Bridgeport Bluefish, with Atlantic City winning the series 3-1. In 1999, we actually have a full game uploaded to YouTube from June 4th of that year, which is an actual high-quality TV broadcast uploaded by Channel 19, a TV station that's currently operated by Sterling High School in Somerdale, New Jersey. This game features an 8-5 win for Atlantic City against the Somerset Patriots, and I think it's really cool to have this piece of Atlantic League baseball in full on YouTube. Although I will caution that if you watch this game, the video is fine throughout, but the audio gets a little messed up for whatever reason toward the end of it. Atlantic City would miss the playoffs every year between 1999 and 2001, but would make it in 2002 and would fall short and lose 2-1 in a division final to the Newark Bears. After missing the playoffs again in 2003, the story would be the same for every year they played in the Atlantic League from then on. They would lose in the divisional round from 2004 until their exit from the league in 2006, losing to the Camden River Sharks, Somerset Patriots, and Lancaster Barnstormers respectively. They only ever won the division once in 2004, in which they tied for the division title. It is crazy to think about the early days of the Atlantic League where Atlantic City was in the South Division and it actually made more sense to have them there. Out of the original 1998 teams, Atlantic City was actually the most south out of anyone, and Somerset would have been the second most southern team at the time. Now in 2025, with a whole grouping of teams in the Carolinas, Maryland, and even Kentucky, it seems very strange if a New Jersey team were to be in the South Division today. Now I love what was the Can-Am League. There are plenty of teams from that league that are still around today, but it is something worth mentioning that most of the time when you saw an Atlantic League team moving into the Can-Am, it usually was not very long until the team folded entirely. I imagine this might have to do with they were still operating like their Atlantic League, but in the Can-Am League, which is a step down as the independent ranks go. A lot of the teams that managed to thrive in the league weren't trying to be bigger than they were. They either started in Can-Am League to begin or moved over from a comparable league like the Northeast League, and for the most part have slightly smaller and sometimes repurposed stadiums, whereas a lot of the original Atlantic League had new stadiums that was built just for the team. Basically, the Rockland Boulders, who were in the Can-Am League, were a bit of an anomaly since they built the stadium for the Boulders in that league. Anyway, that's just a theory with no actual backing behind it. I'm sorry if about half of you fell asleep during that ramble session there. The Surf would start their first year in the Can-Am League in 2007 off to a great start, although they finished just about the same as they did in the Atlantic League, losing in the semifinal round to the North Shore Spirit, which is equivalent to the divisional round in the Atlantic League. The Surf manager Chris Carminucci won Manager of the Year, starting pitcher Brian Rodaway won Pitcher of the Year, and reliever Matt Pike, who won Reliever of the Year for the team. In 2008, the Surf hired Cecil Fielder to become the team's new manager, which led to a familiar result, losing in the semifinal round to the Quebec Capitals. During the offseason, owners of the team were looking to sell but could not find a buyer, and already making the decision that it wasn't going to be them running the show in 2009, it was announced on March 30th, 2009 that the team would cease operations. This actually doesn't cause much panic within the league, as another team, the Ottawa Voyagers, would cease operations as well, ensuring the league still had an even number of teams so that a last-minute road team didn't have to be assembled just to have the league running in 2009. Unlike Atlantic City, Ottawa soon saw the return of the Can-Am League with the Ottawa Champions and then later the Ottawa Titans. Now, if you look at current pictures or videos online, you might assume that the stadium is abandoned, but it is still used by the Atlantic City Vikings, the high school in Atlantic City, along with the Atlantic Cape Community College Buccaneers since 2014. There are also some summer league youth leagues that use the facility as well. This does make sure that the field is always ready for baseball along with the main seating bowl. However, much of the stadium concessions and team stores seems to be empty since the Surf left because of the relative low attendance that a community college and a high school bring to a 5,500 seat stadium. There have been rumors of maybe a Frontier League team cropping up here, but as of writing, that still hasn't happened. On YouTube, you do have evidence of this team. Other than my own video and the 1999 broadcast, you have this 30-second commercial.
When I grow up, I want to play for the Atlantic City Surf.
I want to catch.
Hit a home run at Bernie Robbins Stadium,
The fastest on the base.
When I grow up, I want to pitch for the Surf.
You also have this 1999 highlight video, which shows highlights of the play-by-play announcer Tad Kozanowski, and there's two parts to it as well. So there's a news report from 9 years ago about the high school team playing at the stadium, which gives you a good look at the attendance of these kinds of games. There's this one short that's just a few pitches of what I think is summer league youth games, but this video I think is by far the most interesting, as it's this video by AJ Campbell, where he shows a look inside the stadium alongside someone who has actual access and keys to the ballpark. So no, this is not illegal urban exploring or something like that. He has every right to make this video here. This sort of reiterates what I said about the stadium almost appearing abandoned, as most of the basement level is just random storage and just overall seems like an area that hasn't been kept up in a very long time. From there they show the concourse level, which shows the empty team store and shuttered concession stands, and then to the suite level, and then the roof. I fully recommend this video if any of this interests you. Like I said, it feels like an urban exploration video while at a facility that's not technically abandoned. Even in my video in 2022 where I walked around the outside, it was a mix of signs of life, like this City of Atlantic City Sandcastle truck parked here with the garage door wide open, while also having sections of wild overgrowth and this payphone out front, which I did check and did not have a dial tone. The scoreboard is in obvious disrepair, so that hasn't been used in a bit, and the lights were torn down, so only day games can currently be played here. But as I mentioned, the current teams that play here don't exactly need a lot of these things. A lot of them just seem to be happy to be playing in a stadium like this as opposed to some field on campus that may just have a couple sets of small temporary bleachers. So although this video was about the team, I did naturally delve into the stadium as well, since I do care about preserving the stadium, and there was at one point a plan to demolish the stadium to make room for a racetrack. And while that may sound cool, this wouldn't be a track accessible to the public, but instead one of those private tracks that only rich people get to drive their sports cars around sort of deal. So as far as I'm concerned, keep the stadium and hope for a Frontier League team. Anyway, thanks for watching and for the support of the third episode now of this series. As always, I am open to any suggestions for future videos in the comments below.